So, I've got 2 boxes here, although I do believe this lighter box is probably not anime, if I can get my hands underneath, and I can open it, and yep. This one is 2 simple things. How to Train Your Dragon, Blu-ray 3D. Listen to Nostalgic Critic, or rather, the person who does Nostalgic Critic, Doug Walker's thoughts on it, and I decided that sounded like I'd give it a shot. And since I think it was created in native 3D, I decided to give it a shot. And Rune Factory Tides of Destiny, which I did not know had come out here, or rather, had come out on Wii instead of on PS3 only. Because there's a part of me that's thinking, oh god, I need all that Rune Factory. I guess when it comes to games, I might have had a couple of other things, but let's just get into this. Here we go. Just 4 items. And let's begin bottom to top, I guess. So first we have Toriko Part 3. I think these have been coming out like once a month, so they've been coming out pretty fast. And considering I haven't been watching them, it means I guess I have no comments. I mean, I watched the first one. The second one was during my slump. We got 2 discs. This goes up to episode 38, which would be, I don't know, 13 plus 12? Yeah. 39 would have been 12 times 3. Huh. Well, there's actually something interesting in common about these, because next up we've got One Piece Season 4 Voyage 4. Looking forward to seeing more of this. Although if I remember right, then the packaging is rather straightforward. But we get more One Piece, and that's good. And the reason I chose this order is because next up we got Pokemon. So we got 3 shonen shows, long running. I think Toriko's looking like a long running. It's kind of setting itself up to be one. But we're going to so there's a Molga, and I can't remember. I think the unevolved form is Drillbur, isn't it? So I can't remember the evolved form. We've got more Pokemon Black and White. And then the 4th and final thing in the package was a Fate Stay Night Blu-ray Collection 2. I think there probably was a DVD re-release to go along with it, but since I already have the old Neon Fate Stay Night complete collection, I didn't see an immediate need to go and repurchase it on DVD, I guess. Which is fairly par for the course in terms of, and so there we go. But of course that's not everything. A couple hentai titles came out. We got Office Lingerie and The Invisible Stud Returns. This one's been delayed maybe a year now, it seems. And then I've got a bunch of old titles. Super Milk Chan Show, 100% whole. I guess that's referring to milk. And if you're curious, not only is it an ADV release, but it's definitely anime because you got the original Japanese episodes here. Very strange. but it's pretty much the same for all 4 volumes of the Super Milk Chan show. I never watched this back then. I remember it being advertised. Got the impression her favorite word was "you dumbass," or her favorite saying or something. Could be interesting. Don't know. You can see that not all of them were consistent. I don't remember if I bought them all new or not. Or was it that this was the one that wasn't consistent? Japanese on the left, US on the right. US on the left, Japanese on the right. I don't know. And then the 4th and final volume. I think it's the final volume. I don't know if it has the final episodes, but well, it looks the same as this cover. So I guess there's black and white versions or grayscale versions of the covers on the inside. So let's do this so I can start grabbing more from this little pile. Next up, we've got a Sword for Truth. As you can see, an old manga release. We've got the Tokyo Project. This one would be an Anime Works release. I think also old, I don't know. Twilight of the Dark Master. Urban Vision release. I think I remember seeing releases of theirs before. And then we've got Twin Signal, an Anime Works release. Let's not stop there. I also got my correct copy of Zatch Bell DVD 1. I did not do anything to trade it. I think I'll put it over here because there's still one more series to go, and that's Zenki Saga, or maybe this is Saga 1. So this is a 2-disc, 13-episode release. So it's one of these things. You can see here, disc 1 goes up to episode 6, and disc 2 goes up to episode 13. But of course, I guess the best place to get that information is, well, it says the running time is 325 minutes there. I don't know. Let's just keep going. We've got Zenki Saga 2, the 2nd volume. Once again, it's like this. You can see that there's a kind of color scheme going on with the DVDs and the discs, which is rather fascinating. We've got Zenki Saga 3, which once again has that theme going for it. And then finally, Zenki Saga 4, which I'm not sure if I got new or not. And as you can see, it's the standard 1U unit, although this makes me think that maybe this is the normal packaging for it. Disc 2 ends at episode 52, which of course would be 13 times 4, which means these have 13 episodes per. And the final chapter in Zenki's epic tale, so there we go. Oh, and you can see that even though it's going but for the yellow theme, so even though it's still like that, it is going for that theme. I noticed that this doesn't seem aligned right, which makes me wonder if it did get cut off the side here. I guess I haven't tried comparing here, and if I line those up, it makes it look possible that I've got a modified DVD. I don't know. Either way, there we go. That's all of this week's additions to my collection. It was a rather big update. I did go a little crazy. Zenki Saga in particular made me want to go a little overboard because I'm like, why not? Might as well treat myself. And let's see. Now, again, I've been really putting off not looking into the video editing issue, or getting a new video editor, or doing anything like that, so we continue with the lazy. That doesn't look like it's pointed at me. So let's see. What did I watch this past week? I stayed home on vacation for all the spring break. Maybe I did as good of a job as I thought. First of all, let's get off with the little one-off things I watched. I know I rewatched the very first episode of One Piece. Maybe... No, I guess it was just once. Trying to get my friend interested in watching it. I also watched 3 more episodes of Evangelion with another person. And another couple episodes... Actually, that's a lot more than a couple episodes. So, then with my brother tonight, I watched 4 episodes of K-On!, I think. There were other very interesting things to go through. Very funny videos that we haven't seen. And he's been watching Game Grumps recently, and he saw them struggling with Donkey Kong's Crash Course, a very natural thing to do with Donkey Kong's Crash Course. And he wanted to see me fire it up just as a kind of sanitary reminder that it can be done and that for some people it's really easy. And so I beat all of it. Yes, I got that. That would have been a double Princess Rescue if I didn't already have that stamped. So if you know what that means, then excellent. But yeah, so we got those smaller little things out of the way. For everything else, let's see. I finished watching Kami-sama, and somebody had commented about wanting to see more of it, how it wasn't completed. Given how it didn't seem to be going towards a certain resolution for plot points it had brought up, it explained it a bit better, so I kind of understood where it was, but definitely didn't finish that. So it's sort of ended resolving one plot point, I guess, but leaving us thinking, yeah, it would be nice to get a second season to finish the bigger issue that kind of was introduced. But I haven't heard anything, and I haven't seen anything while looking for other Kami-sama dolls. My statements from last week are still pretty similar. It's an interestingly... It just has a very weird feel to it that's not necessarily bad. And like I said, there was a girl in it who kind of represents this feeling really well, where you can watch her and what she's doing, but kind of feel like she doesn't have a specific purpose, but isn't actually out of place. And the anime is kind of like that. It's almost fascinating, but normal-ish, kind of. I don't know. It's really, really strange. I guess I just can't figure out how to describe it, so instead I'll go on to Inuyasha Final Act, which I put on because I knew that I should probably finish rewatching it. And I guess as it went on, I remembered sort of vaguely how Fushigi Yugi sort of kept doing this reset of what they had established at the end of the series sort of thing. And I think Inuyasha probably would have continued feeling like it did that up until the very end, where it kind of gets stuck in this loop of get more powerful attack, somebody else gets a more powerful attack, it doesn't quite work, and it just keeps going in circles. So it doesn't necessarily feel like it's building up something necessary for the final battle per se. But it definitely is a resolution to the individual characters, which is why it's kind of important for Inuyasha Final Act to cover them, because it's all about covering the things, the important concepts up to the end of the series, and then the series ends, and I guess you could say it ends about as I expected. And I'm not talking about in terms of what specifically happens, but rather what I generically expected to happen at the end of it. And I guess it really comes down to Rumiko Takahashi is definitely really good at starting these stories and getting us into them. But with her longer running series, there does seem to be a bit of an issue with bringing them to a proper closure. Urusei Yatsura was like that, Inuyasha was like that. Ranma half seemed like it was definitely going in that sort of a direction. And since I haven't seen Mason Ikoku, I can't comment on that. But all that said, Rumiko Takahashi Anthology was definitely something quite different, where there were very specific stories trying to be told, and they were very good. So, I don't know. Could be two separate forces at work, or something crazy. I don't know. But I do know that it's nice to finally have that mostly out of the way. I think the movie versions are coming out on Blu-ray next month, and I'm going to use that as an excuse to watch all the movies. I'll just go through all 4 of them. I'll probably rewatch the first one because I don't remember it too well. And it will probably be useful to rewatch in anticipation / preparation for thinking about 2 through 4 whenever I watch those. Seems like a good idea. And the other new thing I watched was I finished watching Penguin Drum, and that was a pretty satisfying anime. I'm not going to say that I necessarily think that the ending is the best ending it could have had, but it was strangely satisfying even if I didn't 100% understand it. But regardless of whether or not I understand that, I do know 2 things. It did leave me a bit touched, and the entire series was a fun ride. So yay. Pretty crazy. I would love to be able to link people to survival tactics, but unfortunately those don't appear to be on YouTube. And if I were to take a guess, then Rock and Roll Over Japan, I think the song might be called. That song may be highly copyrighted, and thus any clips of it would be taken off YouTube or something like that. Oh well. Now, I said I watched a lot. Those are 3 series, and they're only dozen episode series, and that would not be a whole lot. I think that's probably more on par with the sort of things I was watching before the crazy times when I wasn't on vacation anyways. But that's, like I said, I did make good progress, and by good progress, I rewatched a couple of series. There's something to be said about being able to sit down and take in a series that you enjoyed. In this case, it's actually a nice timing to have rewatched Azumanga Daioh. You know, haven't seen K-On! Seasons 1 and 2, and having certain thoughts about K-On! Season 2 that made watching Azumanga warranted. One thing I never realized is that there's this huge difference between K-On! And Azumanga Daioh, and that Azumanga Daioh has a lot of visual gags, which doesn't surprise me, but rather surprised me that I didn't realize such an obvious thing. K-On! Doesn't really have them as much. I mean, there's stuff like that sort of there, but it's really just the way the characters are interacting. Whereas Azumanga plays off these just the way characters are visually doing things, gags. The other rewatching all of Azumanga Daioh was really easy because it was just very entertaining beginning to end. First episode had its weak points where you couldn't feel how super spectacular the series would get, but I thought it got really good quickly after that, especially because I'm an Osaka fan, I guess. Of what the things she does to the series, very fun. Now, the one interesting thing I noticed while watching Azumanga is I had commented after or during the watching of K-On! Season 2 that it sort of felt like the second season of K-On! Started off a bit weak, kind of self-referencing its first season in a way that makes you think that it wasn't really the people from the first season working on it again. Maybe it wasn't. But, like, it didn't quite know what to do, maybe. Other than try and have you smile and nod and say, yeah, I remember that part from the first season that you're referencing here in the second season. But, like I said, the second season kind of got its own thing. I'm like, I don't remember Azumanga doing that. And watching Azumanga, there's a little bit of that in there. It's not too bad. Maybe not as bad as that feeling I got starting K-On! Season 2, but you know, sometimes that's just a common hurdle, especially with comedy anime, where they kind of introduce their strongest material and then feel like they are dragging things on. I think Dokuro-chan, Magical Witch Punie-chan, and Ramen Fighter Miki have some good examples of that, and they handle it to a varying degree. But there's this kind of feeling like some of the funniest and best ideas for those series come in the earlier episodes. I'm wondering if Full Metal Panic Fumofu is like that, except that I just remember that one constantly keeping me entertained when I've rewatched it. I'm like, okay, this is why I keep thinking this is one of those funnier anime out there. Oh, I guess to be fair, I did watch a couple clips from Plastic Nissan. It came up in our anime a couple of times this week. Looks funny. I should probably just sit down and watch it since all of it is 27 minutes total, I think. But, yeah, Azumanga, very fun. The other thing I rewatched is Shiki. Basically, I showed 2 episodes to the friend I showed the first episode of One Piece, basically trying to get him interested in exploring some of these animes on his own time. He's got some of the anime already, he's just not started watching them, so I'm trying to encourage him by getting him to watch episodes. And with Shiki, it was 2 episodes because I guess the first episode is a bit of a distraction if you kind of come in and get a different idea of what the series is going to be like based on the way the episode unfolds. But the second episode is what gives you the feeling for the real pacing of the series, focus of the series, ideas of the series, I think. At this point, it's really hard to remember because I only showed him those 2 episodes. But since this is my 3rd time starting it, you know, the first time would have been when I watched it. The second time would have been when I started watching it with another friend who has not come over to continue watching it. Basically, that means that this time, since I started it again, I kind of wanted to watch it because it's a good series. It's a very compelling series. You start watching it, and you can feel that it's building up to something, and it continues properly building up and gives you this nice, I'm not sure if I would call it a release or so much as a proper finish, I guess. Now, I haven't gotten to the point where I can properly analyze the ending of it because I've still got 5 episodes to go. Technically, excuse me, I had a big dinner, so none of my yawns have been super effective. But I've got 3 episodes and the 2 side episodes that explain how things happen a little bit better, certain aspects. So it's a 24 episode series, even though originally 22 episodes aired, and I think there were 2 extra episodes added in on DVD, Blu-ray maybe? I don't know. And of course, the Funimation release has all those episodes. So, I've still got 5 episodes left to go. But I know that as far as I went, I was looking for a certain moment, and I got to that moment, and that is an awesome part of the series. It's been a really satisfying rewatch. After that, I'm not sure what I am going to watch. I know that One Piece Season 4 Voyage 4 is definitely going to get watched over the weekend because my friend and I have been looking forward to seeing more of it. Although, since One Piece hasn't gotten into a serious story mode yet, I have to admit that we are far more into... Well, maybe it's a bit of a serious story. I don't know. If it is, it's a bit weaker than the second season's and the third season's main overarching stories. So we're still waiting for something to properly build up to epic proportions. And it could be. Yeah. Other than that, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to watch. Because I guess I've got a lot of stuff, but I don't have a good idea on what I want to prioritize. So I guess we'll find out next week. Y'all, have a nice week.